Okay, Carly, it's good to see you again. I know last week we were talking about your new job, let's call it your new role that you have doing CBT at your placement.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So how have you been feeling throughout the week about that? Have you still been feeling anxious or?
Yeah, definitely those feelings of anxiety are still coming up for me. But like overall, I guess like okay. But still anxious overall.
Okay, okay-ish, but still anxious.
Yeah, exactly.
And how'd the homework go for you last week? I know you're just kind of supposed to be thinking or even maybe considering the 5-factor model, how that's affecting your life, how that's presenting itself in that situation. Have you been giving that some thought or?
Yeah, definitely. I've been thinking about the 5-factor model. I think about it more than I'm actually like putting it into practice and sitting there and like writing out that process of the 5-factor model on paper. I think that was just a little bit too time consuming for me at this point, but definitely thinking about it frequently as I'm going about my day and as thoughts are coming up for me.
Okay, good. Yeah, that's pretty good. Consider we've only seen each other once, so. But today I'm wanting to show you a better way to sort of write that out and how to apply the 5-factor model in your life. Pretty basic thing we use in CBT called a thought record.
Mm-hmm.
So was there any situation that was bothering you throughout the week at work? Was it still about the shadowing or did anything else come up during this week that was stressing you out?
Yeah, still about the shadowing and kind of being in those sessions and still not feeling like I have the right skills or enough skills to perform that role.
Okay. So it sounds like it's in the same scenario, you're watching these shadowing sessions, you're having a lot of the doubts and everything like that. Is that fair?
Mm-hmm.
So do you want to try to work through that today, that situation?
Yeah, sounds good.
Okay. So I'm just going to write it down the same thing. The situation is shadowing. I believe it's your supervisor you're shadowing. Is that right?
Yes.
So we'll just write shadowing supervisor as the situation up here. And I'm going to bring you through sort of, like I said, it's called a thought record that we can go through today.
Mm-hmm.
So the first thing we're going to talk about, like we talked about last week, are some of the thoughts that were happening while you were watching your supervisor do his session. So I know we touched on it last week, but what were some of the thoughts going through your head while you were watching the supervision?
This is hard. I can't do this.
This is hard. You said, I can't do this?
Mm-hmm. Not competent enough.
Not competent. I'll write, I'm not competent. Does that sound okay?
Mm-hmm.
You said not competent enough.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Was there anything else that was coming up through your head while you were watching the shadowing sessions?
Maybe that I'm worried I'm gonna let the clients down.
I'll let the clients down.
Mm-hmm.
Like my clients, like clients you'll have.
Yeah, once I
Clients
start on
down.
my own.
Is there anything else that was going through your head as you were watching it?
No, I don't think so. I think that's kind of everything there.
Okay. We've seen the same bit of pattern last week, eh? There.
Mm-hmm.
So while you were watching it, or while you're having some of these thoughts, because that's what we're going to remember is that our thoughts kind of dictate our emotions and how we think or feel about a situation.
Mm-hmm.
So what were some of the emotions coming up while you're having these thoughts and when you're watching the session?
Definitely like anxiety.
Anxious?
Yeah.
You're feeling anxious?
Worry.
Anxious. Worried.
Maybe a little bit frustrated that I don't know more at this point.
Frustrated? You said frustrated at yourself?
Mm-hmm.
That you don't know more. Okay. Anything else? Doesn't have to be anything too intense, even if you're scared, sad later. But
I think that's pretty much everything. I can like also think of just being like nervous in those moments or shaky, but those are both connected, I think, to anxiety and worry.
Yeah. I can write shaken if you want.
Sure.
Do you think that?
Sure.
Okay.
That's more like
More like a...
like a physiological response.
Yeah, shaken might be more in that category, but we can still write it down. Was there anything else you were feeling while watching it?
No, not that I can think of.
Okay. So we're gonna go over behaviors again. Was there anything you did after feeling anxious or worried? Any behaviors you noticed after you're having these thoughts?
Or like cramming, like doing lots of reading, watching videos, or studying my notes.
Okay. Cramming. That's a good word. And I'll put a little plus because it sounds like you're doing a lot of it.
Maybe like a bit of avoidance too. If I do get to the point where I'm like feeling too overwhelmed with everything, I might, step away and do some self-care.
Okay. Self-care's not bad. It's not a bad thing to do. But I'll still write avoidance down. Is there ever a time you're sort of avoiding doing some of this or doing studying, or is there anything else you think you're avoiding?
Perhaps even, being a little bit more, I guess, willing to take on a solo session or to start up with a client.
Yeah, avoidance of
Role.
of role play. Yeah, role play in sessions. That makes sense. If you're feeling anxious, it's normal to avoid things, so it makes sense that you're doing that. It's a typical response. So don't be embarrassed or ashamed of that. It's pretty normal to avoid things when you feel anxious about them.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to add to the behaviors, or does that feel pretty complete to you?
No, that feels pretty complete, I'd say. But maybe like asking questions sometimes, but that, I feel like that falls under studying or reading or seeking knowledge on.
Sure. And some of these things aren't bad, and even the avoidance is not necessarily a bad thing. It's just kind of how you're coping with these feelings you're having. But if you're open to it, we can look today at sort of thinking of a more balanced thought after shadowing than what we have here. So we spoke last week about how our thoughts sort of dictate our emotions, and our emotions dictate our behaviors. So we want to kind of look at, while we're working together, changing our thoughts and have these ones follow along. So if you want today, we can try to get these thoughts and balance them out a little bit. Does that sound okay thing to try?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, so going back to your thoughts here, which one do you think is a standout for you? Which one, I know these ones are seeming pretty connected. I mean, all of them seem connected, right? This seems like there's some thoughts of self-doubt, or that you're not good enough to do this work. Do you think that's fair to say, or how would you summarize these thoughts?
I feel like I'm not skilled enough, I'd say.
I'm not skilled enough?
Because if you have those skills, then you wouldn't be saying this is hard, or that you can't do this, or I guess maybe even if you have the skills, maybe you would still be saying it's hard, but not in the way that like I'm thinking mostly about it. It's just like that competency, right? Like not knowing enough, not having that knowledge base that's enough to support my clients in the way that they need, maybe.
That's an interesting thought. I just heard you say that you're not skilled enough to support your clients or to support your potential clients.
Yeah.
Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm gonna write that down. You tell me if you feel like this is your standout thought. That I'm not skilled enough to support. Do you want me to write my future clients?
Sure. Yeah, because I don't have any right now.
Okay.
Not in the future, at least.
Yeah, I know you have some in other roles. So that's your thought here. I'm not skilled enough to support my future clients. How do you feel about that thought? You feel like that's the most anxiety inducing?
Yeah, that sucks.
That sucks. Okay. use that thought then if it sucks. So I'm gonna write that down before I get rid of everything else, and we're gonna try to work through that, okay?
Okay.
And please excuse my horrible handwriting. If you ever need clarification on what I've written on this board, let me know. My future clients. So let's take a look at that thought. And then what we're going to try today is just to challenge the validity of that thought. We're going to try to logic our way through the thought and hope for the best. So I know, Carly, you've told me that you work at Kids Help Phone, is that right?
Mm-hmm.
So, and that you're in your master's program for social work right now, right?
Yeah.
So I know you don't have no skills, even though you're having some thoughts about not being skilled enough. So what I'm going to try to do with you today is just try to list what skills you think you already have. Then we're going to list some skills that maybe you think we need for therapy. Okay, so I'm going to start with skills, and these don't have to be anything official, just skills you think a good therapist would have. So even if you want to think of your supervisor about what skills they have, you can think about what comes to mind, anything that comes to mind. What skills do you think a good therapist needs to have to do good therapy?
They're empathetic.
Empathy?
Mm-hmm. They're insightful.
Insightfulness?
Mm-hmm.
Insightful into the client's needs, or?
Yeah, basically like able to pull pieces together and kind of teach them something or give them some kind of information on what could help them.
Oh, okay. So insightfulness into coping or insightfulness into mental health? How do you categorize this?
All the above. Just insightfulness.
Insightfulness into mental health and help. How does that sound?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I've written mental health, but you understand. Is there anything else you can think of on this side that therapists might need?
Ability to ask good questions.
Good questioner.
Good open-ended questions that allow for collaboration or.
I heard you say open-ended?
Yep.
Collaborative questions?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Anything else that might define a good question or a good questioner for you?
No, I think so. That's it.
Okay, what else does a good therapist need, or what else do you think would make a good therapist? Even if you think personality traits, soft skills, hard skills.
Humor. They're funny.
Humor?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, that's a good one. They can tell good jokes. That's pretty legitimate. Humorous. I would like to have a funny therapist.
Yeah.
That would help me.
Right, because therapy's kind of awkward and difficult at times, and sense of humor can really make it a more comfortable experience.
Mm-hmm.
Build rapport. Yeah.
Okay, I could just name another one. Rapport builder. Do you
Mm-hmm.
think that's a? You want to
Yeah,
add that to the list?
that's a good one.
Getting a pretty good list here. This sounds like a good therapist. What else? Anything else?
I think that's it for me. I don't know.
I know you said your agency focuses on CBT skills.
Mm-hmm.
Is that something you noticed in the session, or you think
Yeah.
you needed?
Yeah, I guess so. So, skills needed within like the CBT modalities or competency within CBT modality.
Okay, I'll just write CBT. How about that?
Mm-hmm.
And I'll write a question mark beside it. Anything else you can think of, or you think that's a pretty complete list of needed or hoped for skills for a therapist?
I think that's a good list.
Good list? Okay. Now, like I was saying, I know you are not without skill. You do work at a place where you do supportive counseling over the phone, right? On kids' cell phone?
Yeah.
So thinking about this list, or even thinking about other traits you have, what skills do you think you already possess that help you at your work or that could help you in your future sessions?
Well, it's funny you ask that because I do feel like I have all of those skills over there except maybe that last one.
Okay.
Being CBT. Maybe like humorous, maybe not so much. I struggle with that one.
Well, humor's subjective, so.
I do find lots of things funny, but
the ability to laugh is a really great trait to have. Not many people can laugh. It's definitely part of humor, is the ability to laugh, for sure.
Okay. So yeah, I think most of those skills I do have.
So these skills here, up until CBT, you think you already have?
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm just gonna write same skills. I counted them out. There's 6 times 6. So you actually check these off. We'll put a question mark beside humor since you were a little uncertain about it. Do you think you have any other skills that you use on the phone? I know you take some crisis calls. Is there anything else you could think of to add to your side?
Yeah, so like the ability to conduct like thorough risk assessments and safety planning.
Okay.
I'd also say that I have some personal experience with some difficult situations that could help create a certain level of understanding towards the client situations, I guess.
Okay, so you have some personal history that could help you understand your clients.
Yeah.
Does that sound right?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna write, does it sound okay if I write personal history?
Yeah.
History. Just pretend it says personal. Is there anything else you can think of on this side? You got same skills, risk assessment, safety planning, relevant personal history.
Yeah, that's good.
You think that's pretty good? So now that you've seen this list, the skills that we need, the skills that we have, what do you think the validity of that thought is? The original thought you're having is that you're not skilled enough to support your future clients. Think about this list right here. Let's revisit that thought. Do you still think that? Do you think?
I think I have quite a lot of skills, seeing it all put out there.
I think so too. I think I kind of anticipated this coming up because you do the work already.
Mm-hmm.
So that was a good thought. You think you have a lot of skills. So maybe the new thought here can be, I have related skills.
Yeah, maybe I have enough skills. I have enough skills to conduct a good therapy session.
A good therapy session. Does that sound like a more balanced thought now that you see it all laid out?
Yeah.
I think so too. I think you have a lot of the skills. Maybe there's one that you might need to work on, like I know you identified the CBT, but a lot of the skills that you need for a good therapy session looks like you already have, plus some extra ones down here.
Mm-hmm.
So how did it feel doing the thought record? Do you feel some of the emotions, the anxiety and those other emotions coming down a bit?
Yeah. Before maybe they were at 7 or 8, now maybe they're at a 5.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah.
That's a good. So how did you feel about doing what we just did on your own? You don't necessarily have to do this balanced thought every time, but just taking some thought records over the week as you're at your placement, anytime you're having these sort of self-doubt thoughts, and doing the thought record at home. Does that sound okay?
Yeah, it does sound okay. I'm never gonna try that out. I know me, and I know I'm not likely to go seek out a paper and a pen and actually write it down. But sometimes it is enough for me to think about it, just sit and reflect.
Yeah, if you can manage that, that's great.
Yeah.
Or if you don't like the pen and paper, there are a lot of great apps we can talk about downloading before you go.
Yeah,
If that
yeah.
would help you.
Yeah, that'd be more helpful. I think I love using my phone. It's part of my distraction. So if that was there.
Yeah. Okay, great. Okay, we'll do that off camera.